Hi, good morning, everyone. I'm again your teacher for today, Teacher Shelly, for our Maritime English lesson for our week 67th, day 1. Now, in a while, we will start with our part 1 of transitional or translational motions and the physics of sea state. Okay. The lesson contents will be all about introduction to ship dynamics. Okay, and then the second part is the surge for the longitudinal translation, for the sway, for the lateral translation, and for the heave, for the vertical translation, and of course, the practical applications and safety. And the last part or the last topic will be about the question and answer. Okay. Now, with regards to the introduction to ship dynamics, okay, our objective here is to identify the axis or the three primary axes of movement. So we have the longitudinal, we have the transverse, and we have the vertical. Okay? And then we also have the pivot dynamics. Okay, we have to learn about this. How are we going to understand the center of gravity? Or it represents the letter G, or as the geometric pivot point for all the vessel stability. And we also have to learn about the motion analysis. So here, we will differentiate between the translational and the rotational or the angular motions in a seaway. So all of this should be learned in this topic. Okay? So, the center, we will talk about the center of gravity or the letter G. Okay. The geometric pivot point here in naval architecture, okay, the center of gravity is the theoretical point, okay, where the entire weight of the vessel is considered to be where we have to concentrate. Okay, now the rotation hub. Now, all rotational motions, we have the roll, we have the pitch, we have the yaw. Okay, now, it all occurs around at this point, no? So it's called rotational hub. And of course, the stability, anchor. So the position of the gravity or the G, okay, relative to the center of buoyancy, okay, here it determines the vessel's righting lever and the overall safety of the vessel. Okay? So that's what the center of gravity means. Now, with regards to the sea environment, excuse me, kinetic, we have here kinetic energy transfer. Alright? So, here the vessels, for example, do not move in a vacuum. Okay? Now, they operate in a high energy fluid environment. Yes, the vessels, okay, operate in a very high energy fluid environment. Okay, now with the wind and the swell, it acts as the external, okay, the outside force, okay, that functions and that transfer kinetic energy to the hull or the front part of the vessel. Okay? Now, waves, for example, no? It creates pressure. Okay? Uh, uh, it creates pressure, the differentials across the submerged surface of the vessel, including both the linear displacement and the angular momentum across the ship's frame. For example, this is the ship's frame. Okay? So, waves, okay, basically create pressures, okay, to the vessel itself or to the ship's frame. Okay? Now, the XYZ reference frame. Okay, we have X, we have Y, we have Z. Okay, X-axis. Okay, this is the longitudinal axis. Longitudinal meaning if this is the front part, okay, and this is the back part of the vessel or the ship, okay, the longitudinal axis is what we call the x-axis. Alright? Now, when we say y-axis, okay, for example, if we are facing the front part of the vessel or of the ship, the port side, which is your left, and the starboard is on your right, okay? So from left to right, if the axis traverse, okay? If the axis traverse to the port side from the port side to the starboard side, that is what we call the y-axis. And for the z-axis, that is the vertical, the up and down movement, okay? Or the up and down reference. So to measure all this, the x, the y, the z, okay, it measure 6 degrees of freedom. Okay, so we have to establish a fixed coordinate system centered at the G or center of gravity. Okay, we have to measure 6 degrees of freedom. Okay, next. Okay, classifying vessel motion. Okay, we can classify this through translational. Okay, as we can see here, the arrow on your left and arrow to the right. So this is what we call linear movement from left to right, translational motion of the vessel. That is the linear movement along an axis where every point of the vessel moves the same distance in the same direction. Okay? Like for example, for the surge translational movement, that is the linear X. The front or the fore and the aft. the front and the back part of the vessel or the direction. When we say sway, that is the linear Y. So that is from side to side. So from left to right. It's called sway, linear Y. And we have the heave, the linear Z or Z, that is the vertical, the up and down translational or linear movement. Alright? Another in classifying a vessel motion is rotational. Rotational. Look at the arrow going up and going down like a circle. Rotational. This is what we call angular movement. Okay, around an axis where the vessel tilts or swings while at the center of the pivot point. So, meaning, we have an example, the roll. Okay? Angular X, the tilting. Okay? We have pitch, the angular Y for dipping, and the yaw for angular Z, turning. Okay, turning. Okay. So this is how we are going to classify the vessel motion. Okay. Okay, let's talk about longitudinal axis. The fore and the aft line or axis. Okay. The x-axis runs horizontally through the length of the ship from the stern, okay, to the stern part, the back part, or from the stem to the stern, okay, the front and the back part, runs horizontally through the length of the ship. Okay, so the primary motion for this is the surge or the linear, right? Moving forward and backward along the path of the ship. Alright? And we have roll, rotational. The side to side on the other side, tilting of the vessel's hull. Okay? Side to side or port side to starboard side, tilting. Okay. So when we say transverse axis, the port or starboard. Okay. So this is the y-axis, lateral. It runs horizontally across the ship's beam from port to starboard. So we have two. First is sway. Okay. The bodily sideways motion caused by external forces like the wind or the current. Okay? So the movement or the bodily movement of the ship is called sway, which is caused by external forces like the wind or the current. While pitch, okay, the up and down nodding rotation of the bow or bow and the stern. So, this is critical for structural stress analysis. This type of movement, the and down, up and down movement, pitch. Okay, we also have vertical axis. Okay, the up, down. Or Z axis, it passes vertically through the center of the gravity. Okay, that is perpendicular to the water line. Okay, so we have heave. Okay, the vertical bodily rise and fall of the ship on a wave. So excessive heave, okay, can lead to deck wetness or the slamming motion of the water. Okay? Because the rise and fall of the ship on a wave, of course, excessive heave can cause deck wetness. All right. We have the yaw. Okay. Yaw is the rotation of the bow. Okay? To port or starboard rotation. Okay. If you cannot control the yawing movement, okay, it creates directional instability. And of course, it increases a fuel consumption if there's an uncontrolled yawing movement. Okay? So that's a vertical axis. All right. We have surge or the longitudinal translation. When we say surge, this refers to a sudden and a powerful movement of a vessel caused by external forces. Okay? Now, in simple words, a surge is the forward and the backward movement of a ship along its horizontal axis. Okay? Now, the primary causes of surge. Okay. Basically, the primary cause of surge is heavy swell. This is the long period swells, okay, wherein it causes rhythmic surging, okay, the forward and backward movement, the sudden. Now, another cause of surge is propulsion oscillations. These propulsion oscillations is a sudden change in your engine RPM or the propeller thrust in rough seas. Okay, that is also a cause of surge. And another, the inter-vessel interaction. here, the passing of ships, for example, this is a confined channel, okay? The interaction between the two vessels, okay? Wherein you are confined in a channel, it causes interaction of the waves, okay? This can also cause surge, all right? Okay. The physics of surge. Okay, let's talk about more of surge. The force and acceleration, the longitudinal motion, okay, it involves overcoming the ship's massive inertia and what we call the added mass of the water, okay, traveling with it, okay, that is the force and acceleration, the longitudinal motion. Now, if we have acceleration, we have an opposite, what we call deceleration dynamics. Okay. In deceleration dynamics, the surge energy here is dissipated through this what we call the hydrodynamic drag. Okay? Now, as the waves passes, the hull decelerates rapidly, leading to a back and forth sawtooth velocity profile. Okay. Now, when a ship moves back and forth due to waves or current, that's what we call surge, right? So, it builds up a lot of kinetic energy. Okay? Now, to bring the ship to a stop and keep it safe, that kinetic energy needs to be released or absorbed. So, in simple words, this hydrodynamic is the friction of the water against the ship's hull that acts like a giant brake. So, understanding this acceleration phase is key to preventing structural stress and machinery wear. Okay? So that's the logic of surge. Okay. Surge loads on mooring. The danger of ranging, okay, when a ship is moored alongside, the longitudinal surge causes the vessel to slide back and forth, right? So, this exerts an extreme surge loads on the spring lines, the back and forth movement. Okay? It exerts more loads on spring lines. Now, if the surge here, okay, or if the surge period matches the mooring system, natural frequency resonance occurs and often leading to parted lines or damage equipment. Okay? Right. Now, mitigating and controlling surge. How? We have here engine management. You also have tension winches and spring line lead. Okay. RPM or revolutions per minute. Okay. The subtle adjustments to maintain, okay, the consistent tension on the water column during heavy following swells is what we call engine management. All right. Automated mooring winches that render or take in slack to absorb surge energy without breaking lines is what we call tension winches. And adjusting the angle and lead length of spring lines to better restrain the longitudinal displacement is what we call the spring line lead. Okay? Okay. Let's compare between the surge versus the speed. Okay, the nature of surge is oscillatory acceleration. Okay, that is based on the external, the wind and the current. Now, the nature of the speed is constant. Okay, velocity. Propelled, constant velocity. And the cause of surge is, yes, wave forces, the hydrodynamics, while the speed, okay, the main engine thrust, okay? And during navigation for surge, it's in a passive response to sea state. Yes, it's really a passive response to the sea state. While the speed, you can control it via bridge commands. Now, the risk for surge, okay? The mooring failure, or worst is there's a cargo shift. While for the speed, can only be there's only be grounding or collision. But we cannot say that only, but still accident. Okay? For the cargo integrity and surge. Okay. The longitudinal shifting, okay, in a container ships. Surge creates massive inertial forces along the rows. Excuse me. Now, if the container lashings are not tightened for the expected surge, okay? Now, rock stress, okay? The containers here are compressed against each other, no? In the forth and aft direction. That is the longitudinal shifting. And lashing fatigue is the repeated longitudinal jerking. Okay? And this is dangerous because it can snap the twist locks. And when we say toppling, the shifting center of mass in base. Alright? Okay. Surge in ship-to-ship transfers. Okay. In ship-to-ship operations, there's a differential surge between the two vessels. And the primary cause, okay, will be, the most probably is the fender damage, okay, or hose rupture, okay. So, when the vessels of different sizes interact, of course, excuse me, their surge frequencies differ, okay. So, it can cause a seesaw against each other longitudinally. Okay? Now, the part 3 is the sway lateral translation. Okay, I'm sorry. Excuse me. Okay, sway lateral translation. Excuse me. All right, let's continue. The sway versus roll. Okay, this is the sway motion. Okay, translational motion. The entire vessel slides bodily to the side without changing its angular orientation. Okay, so every point moves parallel the y-axis, sway motion. And the rotational motion is the roll motion. Okay, the vessel's pivot, okay, around its longitudinal axis. Okay, now while the top or the top of the mast moves side to side, the keel moves in the opposite direction. That is how we are going to differentiate sway and roll. Okay? When we say sway, the simple word for that is the side to side horizontal movement of the ship. It occurs when the vessel slides or drifts sideways. Of course, in the water, which is perpendicular to its length without rotation or turning. Okay, you just imagine a ship moving straight ahead. Okay, now, if a strong crosswind or a powerful sideways, now and current pushes this entire ship to the left and to the right, that's sway. All right? Okay. When we say environmental forces, we have beam seas, we have cross currents, we have beam wind, okay? In beam seas, okay, this one, the wave energy striking the hull at 90 degree imparts a significant lateral momentum, pushing the ship off course. Okay? While the cross currents, okay, if this is the current Flowing water acting against the submerged hull surface creates a constant lateral drift, while the beam wind, the aerodynamic pressure on the suprastructure, okay, inducing leeway, okay, especially critical for vessels with high sail area. Yes, this one, high. All right. Okay. Let's go to bank effect or the hydrodynamic sway. Okay. In confined channels like this, okay, a ship traveling off center, all right, experiences an asymmetric water flow, not balance, not symmetrical water flow. Okay. The increased velocity, okay, between the hull and the bank creates low pressure. All right? So the result is that a lateral suction or a lateral suction force that sways the stern, leading to a dangerous yawing moment or movement. Okay? That's the bank effect. All right. Here, this is a tug operation. All right, this is a tug operation. The sway of this, okay, so since tugs act as an external sway engines, okay, by pushing or pulling at specific points, okay, typically the shoulders or the quarters, no, they induce pure lateral translation to delicate pier or port approaches. Now, the safety note for this is that communication between the pilot and the tug master is vital. Of course, to make sure that the sway is uniform and doesn't induce unwanted yaw. Alright? So, the impact of windage. Alright. So, the high-profile vessels like the PCCs or the pure car carriers and the cruise ships, okay, they possess a massive vertical surfaces of a 20 knot beam wind and can generate enough sway force to overwhelm thrusters. No? So the leeway angle is that the difference between the ship's heading and its actual tracks. That's what we call leeway angle. And the drift rate is what we call the lateral speed in knots caused by wind pressure. Alright? That is what we call the impact of windage. Okay. Now, monitoring via Doppler log. Okay. We have here the transverse speed analysis. This is an advanced dual axis Doppler logs. Okay, that provides a real-time data. Okay, on the ship lateral movement. Okay, and the bow and stern independently. And when we say ground track, Okay. This is crucial. Okay. During birthing, to ensure the closing speed is safe. All right? And the what we call the zeroing sway, the necessary is necessary for precision navigation in narrow fairways. Okay? Narrow fairways. Okay. We have heave or the vertical translation. Okay. Basically, what is heave? Okay. Heave is the up and down vertical movement of a ship. Now, it occurs when the entire vessel rises up and drops in the water. Okay? As a single, only one unit, just like you're riding in an elevator. Okay? You just imagine when you're riding an elevator, you're like having a heave movement. Okay, the vertical up and down movement. So here, the buoyancy and the gravity. Okay, heave, yes, is a vertical vibration. Okay, governed by the interaction between the downward force of weight. Okay, the gravity and the upward when we say buoyancy. Okay, so that is heave, the gravity, the downward force, and the upward force is the buoyancy. So restorative motion, when a wave crest passes, of course, buoyancy increases. That's why you are pushing the ship up. As the throw follows, buoyancy now drops. And the gravity pulls the ship down. Okay? So this creates a continuous heaving cycle. Alright? Okay. Like this, for example. We have the wave versus the heave. Alright? The up and down. So the transfer function as the wave period increases, okay, and it approaches the vessel's natural heaving period, the amplitude now increases dramatically due to resonance. Okay? So that's wave versus heave movement. All right. We have here the UKC, the underkill clearance danger. All right. So in shallow water, risks, okay, or channels, heave is critical. All right, our safety factor. Okay, even a small swell can cause a deeply laden vessel to heave vertically. So the hazard here is that the downward heave amplitude exceeds the static underkill clearance. Okay, the vessel will strike the seabed or the hull breach. Okay? That's why heave is critical in shallow ports or in shallow channels. Okay, heave compensation. We have active heave compensation, we have passive heave compensation, or we have a constant tension. So AHC, the active heave compensation, this is the computer-controlled hydraulic systems, okay, that instantly move the crane winch to counteract ship motion. While the passive heave compensation, it uses a gas charged cylinders, or what we call accumulators. They act like a shock absorbers to dampen the vertical jerk forces. And we have the constant tension. Okay? It ensures it ensures that lines or subsea loads maintain regardless of the ship's vertical rise and fall. Now, impact force, structural stress, okay? The impact force, the massive pressure, loads on the flat bottom plating, we have vibration, induces high frequency, whipping throughout the hull girder, the damage can lead to buckled plates and structural failure over time. Okay? So helicopter operations, this is very dangerous, okay? The moving target, the heaving deck changes the relative altitude between the aircraft and the landing surface every second, okay? So this requires a precision timing by the pilot. Yes, this is dangerous, okay? If there's a heavy deck landing, no? Challenges. Okay, the moving target is so difficult. So typically, landing operations are suspended if the limits, okay, heave rates exceed to 1.5 to 2 meters, no, per second to prevent landing gear collapse. All right? We have here practical applications and safety. All right. Okay, here for the DP systems and translations. Okay, the DP means the dynamic positioning. Okay, systems manage 3 degrees of freedom. You have surge, sway, and yaw as discussed earlier. The meaning of surge, sway, and yaw, we already differentiate the three. Okay, so by using the references like the GPS, the laser, okay, the DP controller calculates now the exact thruster output needed to, of course, maintain the position. Okay, so we have cargo securing requirements, we have acceleration limits, we have the lashing gear, we have the vessel specific data. So in crew safety guidelines, there are 3 points of contact. The mandatory use of handrails during periods of high heave and sway to prevent falls, of course. So you have to also be aware of the wet deck hazards, okay? And also if you are in emotion fatigue, no? You have to have your balance, no? Your physical and your cognitive exhaustion, no? So those are the crew safety guidelines that crew members should follow or practice, no? And we have the motion reference units. Okay, that is real time, the heave data for heli deck safety. You have two feeds into the DP system to compensate for sway. And you have to filters out the noise to provide accurate pitch and roll values. Okay? So, for heavy weather tactics, okay, the goal here is to move the vessel's motion outside the synchronous wave period, okay, to avoid resonance. All right. Motion alerts, you have to standardize the reporting protocols, no? You have to have a clear communication when reporting to the master, no? You have to have a precise translational terms so that there will be a standardized reporting protocols. All right? So we can go to our question and answer. All right. So for question number 1, which point on a vessel serves as the primary pivot point for all 6 degrees of freedom? Okay, it's letter C, of course, the center of gravity. Okay, next, for number 2, what is the correct definition of surge? It's the front to back for aft linear motion. And for number 3, during mooring operations, surge loads are particularly dangerous because they place sudden heavy tension on prolonged mooring lines. For number 4, how does sway differ from roll? Alright, it's letter B. Sway is side-to-side sliding. Roll is side-to-side tilting. Alright, for number 5, which environmental factor is the primary cause of sway? Yes, it's the beam sees across currents. Okay, and for number 6, what is the bank effect mentioned in slide 24? That is hydrodynamic forces near a channel bank. So heave is a vertical motion primarily governed by the interaction between the buoyancy and gravity. Okay? So, for number 8, we have, why is heave critical concern for a navigator in shallow water? Okay? It can cause the ship to strike the seabed due to reduced underkeel clearance. Alright, and for number 9, a motion reference unit is used on the bridge to measure and record the vessel's various movements in real time. And lastly, when surge and sway interact, resulting in a diagonal or a crabbing motion, it is an example of interaction of motions. Okay. So that's all for today, everyone. Thank you for today and for listening to our lesson. No? So again, I'm your teacher for today, Teacher Shelly, and I'll see you all again for our part 2 on our 67th week, day 2. Okay, thank you everyone. Have a good day.